Hello, I'm Amy with Soft Wood Crafting, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And I'm coming to you today to show you how to make this very cute snowman box that holds about 6 Hershey Kisses. Now, the reason I'm making this video is that a couple of weeks ago I decided I wanted to make these for a craft fair that's coming up at the end of November, and I could not find the directions. I had made them several years ago. I had found a video on YouTube that showed how to make them, and I thought I had saved it to my YouTube files, but I could not find it. So I went on a search. I looked and looked for it. I searched all through YouTube. I went to Google, tried finding it that way, went on some of my sites that I belong to on Facebook, and while I found tents that were similar to this, however is a box, and that's what I wanted to be able to make. So I decided, well, let me see if I can remember and then figure out how to make it, and I'd like to show you what I came up with. If you know who the person was that actually posted this on YouTube and how to make it, please drop their name in the comments so that I can give them credit. But this is something I just kind of like played around with in order to get a just to get a snowman box to make for next week. So let me show you how I made it. So these are the supplies that you need. You need basic white. You need a sheet of about, well, not about, you need a sheet of 5 3/4 by 4 1/8, and I will go through the scoring here in just a minute. You're going to need some basic black. You're going to need a piece that's a 1 1/4 by 1 1/4, and then you'll need a piece that's 1/2 inch by 1 3/4, and this is to make his little hat. And then you'll need some scrap pumpkin pie to make his nose. You'll need some scrap basic black in order to punch out the eyes and buttons and the little mouth. And you will also need some ribbon to make a scarf, and this is about 10 inches long, right? And so I'm going to use some hole punches in order to make his mouth and eyes as well. So if you want to pause the video and take a screenshot of this so you can have the scoring instructions as well. But I'm going to pull out my trimmer, and I am going to score with you. All right, so let me grab my trimmer. And what we're going to do, let me move up the cutter because I can't tell you how many times I went to score and I actually ended up cutting my cardstock instead. So here is my trimmer, and I hope that I'm in view of the camera. What I'm going to do is on the 5 3/4 side, I'm going to score at 3/8. Let me put that there. And then I'm going to flip my paper, and I'm going to score it at 3/8 again. And this is going to help us make our lid at the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to score it at, on the 4 1/8 side, I'm going to score it at 1 1/4. Then I'm going to score it at 2 1/2. Then I'm going to score it at 3 3/4. Okay. And this will leave us 3/8. I don't know if you can see it, but it'll leave us like a little 3/8 box here at the end in order to make our glue tab. Right, so let me move my trimmer out of the way. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to burnish my edges. Grabbing my bone folder. So first I'm going to start up here. We're just going to give it a nice burnish. Turn around the other side, do the same thing. And then I'm just going to start at one end and work my way across. And what we're doing is we're making a triangular box. I don't know if I showed that to you when I showed you the snowman box. Here, let me put him over here. And then one last, and this is going to be our glue tab. There you go. All right, so now we have it scored, and now it's time to, we're going to cut here in the ends in order to make our tabs for gluing. So I'm going to start here over at the edge, and this is the 1 1/4 inch side. So I'm going to cut in at an angle, and then here where you can see the score line, I'm going to cut in at an angle, and I'm going to cut in at an angle, making kind of like a little V piece to cut it out. Okay, so it's not wanting to put, let me get down, cutting up and up, there we go. Then I'm going to do the same thing on the next score line. Cutting it up, cutting up. Okay, and then here's where we have like a corner tab. Okay, so we're going to get rid of this, but we're going to kind of V it as well. So I'm going to cut at an angle here at this corner, and then I'm going to turn over where the glue tab is, and I'm going to cut at the corner again. So, all right, and then we're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. So here's our glue tab. I'm going to cut in at an angle. We're going to get rid of this little square here, and I'm going to cut at an angle. Then I'm going to come and cut out the score lines as well, using angles as well. Again, last score line. Okay. And then our last edge. And these are going to become the tabs for the lids. Okay. All right, let me get rid of that. All right, so you can use any type, but you can use a tape runner to do your glue here. You can use tear and tape. You can use liquid glue. I am going to go ahead and use tear and tape to close my edge. So I'm just going to lay it here on my tab. And then I'm going to give it a good burnish. I'm going to use my pick tool, pick up that edge, and now I'm ready to fasten it to my box. Just kind of like trying to lay it out there so it's kind of evened up. The edges are matching up. Okay, and then I'm going to take my bone folder, and I'm going to kind of lay it in there and just kind of give it a good burnish so that the tape sticks to the box. Okay, so I'm going to fold in one end, and so it's kind of like you have to do a little maneuvering here, so you can just kind of like it's like folding that box in at the end. And so I'm going to kind of try to pick this up, slide it under, and then, oops, that didn't turn out very well. I squished it in too much. Okay, let's go try it again. Okay, there we go. And so if it sticks out a little bit, you can just take your scissors and kind of like trim off that little edge so it doesn't stick out very much. But there you go. You have the bottom of your box. It's closed. It's ready to go. And so what I'd like to do is find the edge of the box, and that's going to be the back. So I'm going to use this to be the front of my box. And I'm going to start by taking my 1 1/4 by 1 1/4 pieces of basic black, and this is going to be his hat. So I'm going to grab my green glue, and I am going to put some glue. Remember, with the green glue, you don't have to use a whole lot. Don't squirt out this big, thick mess of glue. Just a little bit goes a long way. I'm going to verify that I am looking at the back of the box, and now, of course, I can't see it. There it is. So this is my front. I'm going to line it up with the top edge and the sides of my little box. So it's 1 1/4 edge. Okay, so it's lining it up to the top. Okay. And now I'm going to take my hat piece that's 1/2 inch by 1 3/4, and I'm not going to put glue all the way across, okay? In fact, I'm actually going to put just the glue right here on the bottom because I don't want the glue to stick off the edge, just make a sticky mess. All right, and then I'm just going to, oh, maybe a little bit more because it is 1/2 inch. I want to make sure it stays good. Okay, and I think I used just a tad bit too much glue. So now I'm just going to line this up with the bottom, and I'm going to try to make sure that the sides of the hat trim are equal on both sides. Hard to do one-handed, but I think that looks pretty good right there. Okay. All right. So now we have our hat. We're ready to make his face and his buttons. And so what I have is I have 2 hole punches. I have one that is 1/8 of an inch, and I have another that is 1/16 of an inch for holes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out 5 1/8 circles with my little punch. 3, 4, 5. So that's 2 eyes and things. Let me get them out. Okay, so just kind of push them up to the top, and then I'm going to cut 5 of them with my 1/16. So let me make sure I'm turning it around and doing it the right direction. Okay, again, 1 and 2, 3, and I'm actually in the wrong slot. No wonder it was sticking. 4, 5, and let me just do another just in case they come out a little weird. Okay, yeah, because see, some of them don't cut very well like that one. So let me get that one out of the way. All right, so this is the tricky part because there's so little. I'm going to pull out my silicone mat, okay, so that I can get glue on these things, and I'm going to use the putty end of my take your pick tool, so I can hold those pieces, those little pieces that I can use, and then put them onto the hat. So I'm just going to grab a piece, and this is where you need to just be very light, have a very light touch with your glue. You don't need to put a lot, right? So then you're going to put it down wherever you want your eyes, stick it there, grab another one. So the eyes are okay. It's the mouth that's kind of a problem. Okay, so just a little bit of glue. I'm going to come over and I'm going to kind of line up his eye. I need to steady my hands because they're not very steady. And there you go. All right, so now we're going to grab a piece of the scrap pumpkin pie so I can cut out a nose. And I always like start off and then I trim down. It's better to start off too big and then trim down, and then start off too little and then have to go back and cut out a whole new piece. So I'm just going to cut out a little triangle of a nose. There we go. Now I'm going to just pick it up and I'm going to test it on my little snowman and make sure you can make it bigger. You could make it longer. Yeah, that one's okay. Could be a little longer, but it's not horrible. But I like to make sure on this side that I get the glue all, whoops, let me start again. Here we go. All right, so now I'm going to put the glue. I like to get it all the way to the edge of the point because the point, I don't want it to come up. Okay, now it's wanting to stick to my glue instead of stick to my putty. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to stick his little nose on. His little carrot nose. Little, but it's okay. All right, so now I'm ready to do, to me, this is the hardest part, doing the mouth, because the circles are so small and it's so easy to get too much glue on these, and then it's hard to get it off the putty and onto the card stock. So I don't know, you can start in the middle and then work your way up. I've done it both ways. Okay, so we're gonna start there. in the middle, and then I'm going to go again very light on the glue. Oh, come on. And this is why I like the silicone mat, because you can get the glue on there. It won't get your surface sticky. And you can wipe it off when you're done and you're good to go. All right, so here we go. So now I'm going to go up the other edge, go up. So I'm making a little smile. Again, trying to keep it very light on the glue, and I got to use my finger to kind of hold off a piece of it. Okay. There we go. Next, I'm going to try to make sure I'm about the same as the first one. Oops. And this is why you want to be light on your glue, because you don't want to get glue everywhere all over your snowman's face. And I tend to be very heavy-handed with my glue. So I usually end up with a mess. Okay, and our last one, I'm going to put it up about there. Okay. And there we go. So now we got our mouth done. I like to put on my scarf first before I put on my buttons. So I'm going to grab a piece of my ribbon that I made that was about 10 inches long. And my ribbon probably fell. It fell to the floor. Grab it. Okay, so I'm just going to take his, it's a little long, and you can trim off however much you want. And since it's just a scarf, I just did it in a knot. All right. So there we go, just kind of a little tight. And then I'm going to tie my knot. And then I'm going to trim this down a little bit. So you don't have to use quite as much ribbon as I do. I usually like to tie it with the ribbon still attached to the spool, so I'm not wasting so much ribbon. So now I'm going to, here we go, cut it at an angle. Cut it at an angle. And now I have my snowman, and I'm ready to put on his buttons. All right. So, and if you like, you can attach it with a glue dot to hold it in there. I found that it ties pretty well. It's been able to stay right there. It doesn't usually move very much. So I'm now going to do my 1/8 dot circles. And now I'm just going to add them to my snowman. Ready to go to the next one. And you could add as many circle dots as you like. You can add as many pieces to the mouth that you want. I just found that these are the numbers that I particularly like. But if you want to do more buttons, you can. If you scarf, use what you have. If you want to do a red scarf, if you want to do a black scarf, I mean, it's just up to you. I have a lot of retired Stampin' Up! Product, and I just use it all the time. I'm a teacher that's about to go into retirement, so I don't always spend a lot of money trying to buy everything. I would like to buy everything Stampin' Up! Comes out with, but I have to be frugal. So, but hopefully I can spend a little bit more time on working on Stampin' Up! And do a little bit better, be able to add to my stash. All right, there you go. There's our stuff. So you would actually put in your Hershey Kisses. I like to stand them up so they stand up against one of the edges and slide them in. I did find that on my last one, if I do it in the same direction, it might not quite fit in the box. So, but if I turn it a different direction, then they all fit. And then I just alternate folding, and then, oops, again, getting this to fold under and in. Sometimes takes a little hands, but there you go. It folds right in. And that is a little snowman box. It's triangular, and it holds, like I said, about 6 Hershey's Kisses. And the reason I had wanted to make this, because I don't know, I was lying around in bed one night and I thought, well, what if I made a Santa Claus? And so that's what I did. So again, I just used my red cardstock, same measurements, and then I just kind of messed around with the 1 1/4 piece to make the beard. Did the face. I was going to do it in petal pink, but for some reason I grabbed a piece of basic beige instead. It's just, I think this was a 3/4 inch circle punch from Stampin' Up. Again, some retired ribbon to make his belt. And I just think the Santa Claus turned out real cute. And then I also wanted to make a reindeer, but my reindeer looks more like a puppy than it does a reindeer. I was using a retired sprig punch. I think if I were to make this again, that I would maybe multi-layer these so that they were a little stiffer. Maybe figure out a way to make much smaller ears. Maybe go back and make a much smaller glittery nose for my little Rudolph. But the idea was there. This one just didn't quite pan out the way I thought. So if you come up with a really cute looking reindeer, please share it in the comments. I think it would be great to see whatever. And just think about maybe doing this. And I thought about this earlier today, green, and make an elf. So I haven't thought about too much how I would put that together, but there's an idea. So the ideas are endless with these little triangular boxes for Hershey Kisses. So again, if you like this video, please click that like button. I would appreciate it if you would subscribe and leave a comment. It's been a long time since I've done a video. I'm still just using my old camera, my old phone to do this, but maybe one day I can learn how to be a little bit more a videographer than I currently am. But again, I would appreciate it if you need a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. I would appreciate you if you would choose me as your demonstrator. Again, my website, or catch me at Stampin' Up! At softwindcrafting.stampinup.net. I am going to try to write these up today and stick it up on my Stampin' Up! Blog so that you have the directions in order to make these little cute Hershey Kisses triangular boxes for your Christmas. I think these would make great stocking stuffers. I think they would make great co-worker gifts, great things to pass out to the postman or to your hairdresser. I think really cute idea. Again, if you know the person who actually did a video on this originally a few years ago, please tag them in the comments so that I can give them credit. And thank you so much for watching.